A former Area 51 worker spills the beans on live radio, gets cut off. This is likely just an elaborate hoax, but it's creepy and entertaining nonetheless. In 1997, a guy called into a radio show called Coast to Coast hosted by Art Bell and claimed that he used to work at Area 51, he said, sounding pretty terrified. That extra-dimensional beings have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, and they want to wipe out the major population centers during the call. The satellite transmission carrying the show was legitimately interrupted, leading many to believe that the government was monitoring the call. The man called back several more times. A humming sound and a heavily guarded tent on a runway freaked one security guard out. A security guard for a mine near Area 51 named Charlie Arendale. A pilot says he saw a huge blue and violet hologram near Area 51. A former pilot for TDA Transworld Airlines known as Michael D. claims to have seen something eerie in the desert outside of Area 51 in 1988. Air traffic control rerouted his flight from St. Louis to San Francisco for some unknown reason at 1 a.m., telling him and his fellow pilot to head north and await further instructions. The pilot looked down at the surface of the desert and saw a bizarre hologram appear out of nowhere. It was blue and violet light crossing at 90-degree angles to form what looked to him like a three-dimensional instrument landing system ILLs, something he had never seen before in all his years as a pilot. It was a column of light at least 5 miles high and 1/2 mile wide across. Then he saw 20 to 30 Firefly-type lights flitting around way up high in the sky that soon began making hard right-angle turns and zooming down into the column. The lights then suddenly disappeared and air traffic control told him to take a new course to San Francisco. He asked his fellow pilot, "Did we just see that?" He answered, "No sir, we did not." Tom DeLonge says he heard alien chatter while camping near Area 51. Pop-punk icon Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 has a little-known side project, Alien Hunter. In an interview with Paper in 2015, DeLonge says he spent a few nights camping near Area 51 to see what the fuss was all about. Here's what happened. I woke up right around 3 a.m. My whole body felt like it had static electricity, and I opened my eyes and the fire is still going. And there's a conversation going on outside the tent. It sounded like there were about 20 people there, talking. And instantly my mind goes, okay, they're at our campsite, they're not here to hurt us, they're talking about ASHT, but I can't make out what they're saying. But they're working on something. Then I close my eyes and wake up, and the fire is out, and I have about 3 hours of lost time. Creepy. DeLonge says that such chatter is common in stories of abduction and contact. 2 civilian contractors died at Area 51 after exposure to toxic chemicals. The widows of civilian contractors Walter Kaza and Robert Frost sued the U.S. Air Force and the EPA in 1994 after their husbands died after working at Area 51. Allegedly, the contractors were present when unknown chemicals were burned in open pits and trenches. This led to skin, liver, and respiratory injuries in 5 other contractors and later killed Kaza and Frost. The Washington Post reported that biopsies showed that Frost's tissues were filled with industrial toxins rarely seen in humans. The widows lost the case, thanks in large part to President Clinton making Area 51 or the Air Force's operating location near Groom Lake, Nevada, exempt from environmental disclosure laws. Since the government didn't have to reveal the nature of the chemicals, there was insufficient evidence to try the case. A former Canadian government official claims to have toured alien tech at Area 51. Former Canadian Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer says that an unnamed former Canadian Chief of Emergency Measures was flown to Area 51 to observe a UFO and make notes. Allegedly, this unnamed government chief didn't even tell his wife about what he saw. He waited until he was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease to spill the beans to Hellyer. For the record, Hellyer also believes that 80 different species of aliens are in communication with world leaders, but governments are, of course, covering it all up. A man claims to have smuggled out footage of an alien interrogation. A man known only as Victor says he smuggled video of an alien interrogation out of Area 51 in 1996. The video shows a small, beige-skinned, black-eyed, bulbous-headed creature that appeared to be in a distressed state. Its head looked purple and bruised, as if it had suffered severe contusions across the skull. At the end of the tape, the alien appears to have a seizure and starts foaming at the mouth. Ufologists still debate the tape's veracity. Why is it so dark? Why is there no audio? What does DNI stand for? Does my local Halloween store carry that mask?
It's just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath.
The Roswell aliens might have been tiny Soviets engineered by a Nazi fugitive. Los Angeles Times journalist Annie Jacobson has a pretty creepy explanation for the little gray men of Area 51. Jacobson says a first-hand witness told her that the little gray alien-looking dudes that allegedly crashed in Roswell, NM in 1947, were actually child-sized Soviet pilots from a human experimentation program, possibly led by Nazi fugitive Dr. Joseph Mengele, made to look like aliens a la Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. Why would the Soviets dress up human experiments and crash them into the desert of the American Southwest? Jacobson says it was meant to be a warning shot over President Truman's bow to show that a pre-nuclear Stalin could compete in the world of black propaganda. If that doesn't make much sense to you, you're not alone. A man claims he stepped through a portal into another dimension near Area 51. British children's book author Mike Oram says he and his wife Fran were abducted by sinister military-dressed beings outside Area 51 in 2004 and were taken through a portal to another dimension to be experimented on. Fortunately, his space brother, an alien who watches over him, rescued them and ordered their captors to return them to their vehicle. The couple was pretty shaken up by the whole ordeal. It was so bad Fran said she would never ever set foot in America again, Oram said. He also claims that his space brother from another space mother presumably took him on board an alien spacecraft and put him through detox to cleanse him after his Area 51 experience. Space Bros. Area 51's famed aliens were allegedly genetically altered and abused children. Many of the conspiracy theories around Area 51 deal with aliens, specifically those that allegedly crashed at Roswell in 1947. According to Jacobson, there were no aliens in 1947. The mysterious disc-shaped aircraft was a Soviet ship created by former Nazi scientists. She speculates the aliens in the vessel were child pilots, who were once subjects of Joseph Stalin's experiments. Jacobson recounts what the Air Force found when they investigated the crash. Unusually petite for pilots, they appeared to be children. Each was under 5 feet tall. Physically, the bodies of the aviators revealed anatomical conundrums. They were grotesquely deformed, but each in the same manner as the others. They had unusually large heads and abnormally shaped, oversized eyes. One fact was clear: these children, if that's what they were not healthy humans. A second fact was shocking. 2 of the child-sized aviators were comatose, but still alive. Investigators took everything from the ship to an Air Force base in Ohio, where the materials remained until 1951. When they arrived in Nevada, American scientists studied the advanced technology, using it in many programs over the next several decades. The Atomic Energy Commission purportedly conducted tests at Area 51. In 1957, the Atomic Energy Commission began Operation Plumbob at Area 51. Operation Plumbob involved the detonation of 29 atomic bombs between May and October 1957, one of the most extended series of nuclear weapon tests conducted by the United States. According to Jacobson, nearly 7,000 civilians were badged to work at the test site during Operation Plumbob. Another 18,000 employees of the Department of Defense also participated. Official figures vary. Despite concerns about contamination and fallout, which led to proposals of canceling the tests entirely, the government assured the American public and the world at large the tests were necessary. The New York Times published a partial schedule of bomb detonations, which gave tourists a chance to see a mushroom cloud on summer vacation. As the tests progressed, viewers could see detonation flashes as far south and north as Mexico and Canada, respectively. America's first stealth bomber was possibly developed at Area 51. Jacobson says the F-117 Nighthawk, the first stealth bomber engineered by the U.S. military, was one of many projects conducted at Area 51. The craft's development began during the 1970s, and when construction began on the aircraft in 1979, it took place at the facility called Area 52, aka ATA Tonopah Test Range, modeled off of Area 51. Areas 51 and 52 collaborated on the confidential F-117 Nighthawk, though Area 51 had more experience with covert aircraft. Testing for the MiG program occurred at Area 51, too. It wasn't until 1988 when the public became aware of the new radar-immune technology.